Hi, Daniel. Where do we start then? Team news. I suppose Sam Byron went off with a bit of an issue, not too bad, and Jayden Bogle, I suppose, the other one that we need to ask about.
Yes, overall, busy week. Third game within 7 days. Also quick turnaround, early kickoff. Like always in this scenario, we will have to take some late decisions. Yes, obviously for the players who played 90 minutes in the last 2 days, it was just more or less possible to have recovery sessions. Today in the afternoon we have another proper session, and we'll take some decisions then who's really available for the trip and who's in the starting lineup. To be honest, there are several players after the last game with some injuries, some knocks, some question marks. Just give you a few examples. Max Wöber, for example, busy week for him because it was the first time in the starting lineup since ages. Is he really capable to play right now after such a long period? 3 games within 7 days. Can't say yes at the moment because his knee was also a bit swollen after the last game. It has settled down. I hope he's capable to train today. I hope he is available, but late decision with him. With Sam Byram, he just came back after injury, had some cramps in the end. It has settled down, looks much better. I hope he's available, but we have to wait for the training session. Same with Jayden Bogle, is improved, so perhaps he's also in contention. We'll have more or less a session today as a test if he's available. So, and we can go through. So there are many players with knocks and little hits. So for many of them, it's a test today. And then afterwards, we will take the decision who travels with us to Preston, who is then also in the starting lineup. I hope all of them are available, apart from obviously our long-term injuries. But who is then really ready to start? Who is fully recovered? We have to wait a bit and make some late decisions.
Will some of those decisions be made on the morning of the game, Daniel?
I think for me important also like the impression today in the training. Obviously, we always take each and every day some data, our sports science, our medical department also. There are some bit complicated data about recovery status, for example. So if you have a look into the blood of the players and something like this. So we try to be really professional also in this terms. And then, yes, it's not like I put the line up just because what the medical department thinks, but I take this into account. And then also a bit like what you see in training, who seems to be sharp and recovered and ready, and sometimes you got the feeling, no, he needs a bit longer. So I think the impressions this afternoon in the training session, and then a few discussions also with our medical department will allow us to take some decisions, and more or less. And I think this evening I will be pretty clear also who will start then tomorrow, and then obviously a few chats, perhaps even in the morning before the game. To confirm that also the impressions are right, and you never know. Sometimes a player wakes up and feels a bit sick or something like this. Yes, there will be some late decisions.
Yeah, I think gone are the days of just putting a cortisone injection into a player, and that's it. Yeah. Preston North End, though, they seem to be draw specialists, particularly at home. What are you making of Paul Heckingbottom's side this season?
Yes, it's always a difficult place to go. Preston, I've played there so many times in my championship life, and it was always difficult, always competitive games, never easy. Yeah, we have also the impression from last season they have pretty experienced manager on this level with Paul, who knows this league inside out. Good players, always they play with fighting spirit and competitiveness. Yes, before their last game, you would have spoken about, okay, they draw many games. Meanwhile, after impressive away win, I have to say, you speak about, okay, they have 5 games unbeaten, will also play with lots of confidence. So it's always tight against them, and each and every game on this level is difficult, and especially in the away game at Preston during a pretty busy period, and we know exactly what is coming, and we are prepared, but one thing is in the theoretical way, you can speak about what is necessary in order to be successful. The most important thing is that you show it on the pitch, and never easy, especially not when there are so many games and the load is so high. But it is what it is, and we try to be at our best tomorrow.
They don't have Liam Miller this year, but they have had Sam Greenwood, who's played really well. How pleased are you that he's not available for them?
Yes, good for us, but we also knew it before once we sent him out on loan there. yes, pleased for Sam, because he's a great human being. Also, obviously also a player with lots of potential for him in his age. I think it's important to play more or less week in, week out. This is crucial, and due to the competition in our squad, obviously we couldn't guarantee this, and for that I'm happy that he found a place where he's right now playing on a regular base, also much more than the last loan perhaps, where he also had some decent numbers, but didn't play more or less each and every game. For them, he's a pretty important player, and I'm delighted for him, and will be good for his development, for his value. I'm pleased, and obviously good for us that he's not playing against us, because sometimes football would write some stories, but we also knew it before that he wouldn't be available to play.
Look, the transfer market, as you know, is nearly there. But have you had a look at some of the players like Sam and having thought, maybe, I don't know what the release clauses are, what have you, but would you consider maybe going back for some of the players that are out there at the moment?
In general, I'm not a friend of sending players out on loan just for a few months anyhow. I think it's important also that they have a proper year in order also like to develop their personality and to be a proper member, because otherwise it always feels like, okay, there is something that they can think about perhaps in a few weeks. I'm not there anymore, and even on a loan year. So sometimes there is also a difficult period, and I want them also to develop, and then also, when they're sometimes not playing, then also, come on, it's not like I hide between, okay, I go back in the winter or in January. No, I want them to develop their personality and also fight against the odds. So, if nothing really strange happens, so I never plan to have a player on loan just for a few months, because I think one proper year is important for their development, and this is my general attitude to this. I would never rule anything out in this football, as you know. So for that, you never know what happens. But in general, I would always say it makes no sense just to send a player out just for a few months. It should be always a year, and I think at least that's my attitude to it.
Junior's injured at the moment. You said, I think it was 4 to 6 weeks, I think you originally said. Is that still the same scenario a week or so on?
Yes, at the moment, yes. So we'll see how it develops, but that's more or less the case. Yes, he will definitely miss this festive period, and then we'll see at some point in January. We expect him to be back in team training and then also to be available for the games, yes.
Have you discussed his future at all beyond this season with Junior?
No, at the moment there's no time to speak too much about the future. We're playing all 3 days, and also obviously during the injury anyhow, he should concentrate on the proper rehab right now. There will be the moment when we talk about this topic, but as you know, he had a difficult start into life here at Leeds United. We backed him a lot, and at least under my regime, and he has developed fantastically and has delivered with really good performances. Also developed his personality and overtook more and more responsibility. We are happy and delighted with his development, but it's much too early to speak about anything what happens beyond the summer. So right now it's just, come on, let's deliver, let's concentrate, especially with him, to get fit again, to deliver good performances, because and last week it was difficult with him, with his rhythm, and he had such a good start into the season. Then some difficult games, obviously also due to the suspensions. Anyhow, it was not ideal. Right now, the injury, I think the most important topic for him is right now, come on, come back, find your rhythm, find your confidence, and the game time then again, and then there will be the time to speak about the future, but not now.
Thanks.
Hi, Daniel. Obviously, another chance to go top at the weekend. It keeps to and fro with Sheffield United at the moment. But what's your thoughts, generally speaking, on where you sit in the table at the moment and the standard at the top, and especially Sheffield United? Do you think that will continue with the ratio they're picking points up at the moment?
Yes, not just Sheffield United. They are impressive so far, but also all the other likes like Burnley, like Sunderland, like Middlesbrough, like Blackburn, who is on a really good run. West Brom. So there are so many good sides, and also some teams are still lurking. So it's a competitive league, and I never agreed that before the season there was some speculation that perhaps this season could be an easier season. Not at all. So there's so much competition. I'm happy that we're on a really good point average right now, that we're on a really good run. But in this league, the momentum can change quickly, and for that, it's never a reason to be there with complacency or not being humble in the championship. You always have to do the basics, and we know this. We know that we're on a good run at the moment. We're sitting in a really good position in the table. We know this, but the most important thing is that after 46 games, you're in the perfect position, and for that we have to keep working.
Obviously, Ethan Ampadu back the other night, got a brilliant reception when he came on. Whereabouts is he at fitness-wise, and how much of a headache have you got for centre midfield now, or a good one, hopefully? Because obviously, Tanaka and Rothwell have been, I think it's fair to say, two of the best players, haven't they, of late?
Not a headache, if I'm honest. So I prefer this situation much more, because I had a headache when I had no other midfield option and centre-back option, when we had all these injuries, when Josh Giavogi was not here, when Gruev and Ampadu were injured, when Max Wöber was injured. There I had a headache, because we were just one injury away from a really big crisis, or perhaps at some point also just one yellow card away. So for that, I'm happy that Ethan is back also a bit sooner than expected. Yeah, there is this old rule. Once a player is out for several weeks, normally it lasts till he's back at his best. Also the same amount of weeks back in team training and till he's back at his best. And I hope it will be a bit quicker with Ethan, because obviously he was out for 9 weeks or something like this. If this old rule would be the scenario, then we would expect him just to be back at his prime and end of February or March anyhow. So he's a good player and has played many games also before his injury. So I expect him to be back at his best a bit sooner. But you can't expect after 1 week of team training that he starts again where he finished more or less before his injury, where he was outstanding. And at his best, he needs a bit time. I think could even perhaps see in the last game. Of course, you have to shake off the rust a little bit, and I think this minutes in a pretty competitive game were also important for him. And step by step, without rushing, we will get him closer to the starting lineup. I made the point: he's our captain. He's my most important player. That doesn't mean from now on, when he's just available, he will play each and every second. So there's no necessary to do this because of the good performance of other players also. So thank God we don't have the scenario that we need to rush him anyhow, so we can look a bit more after him. But nevertheless, it's a good feeling to have him back. And he's in contention, and also from day to day, his chances for minutes will increase. And then pretty soon I expect him also to be back at his best. Thank you.
Hello. You haven't had time to discuss Junior's future with him, but are you and the club comfortable with the fact that he could theoretically sign a pre-contract agreement with somebody else next month?
Yes, of course we are aware what can happen. So it's not like we are naive and close the eyes anyhow. But we also know that Leeds United is definitely a good pick for each and every player, and our reputation and what we are doing. I think we are a very interesting club for each and every player. And if I'm honest, I would never sign a player just because we are afraid of losing him to a different club. We just want players who are fully convinced that they are with us, and for that, there is a moment one also to speak about this, but not during such a busy period when you play all 3 days. My players know this, who are running out of contract. They also know that they can trust us, and we back them, and we have proven this also in the past. They know that after a difficult spell, we're not knocking at their doors and try to speak about, come on, we have to cancel the contract anyhow. And then after a good period, it's not like, okay, they have to knock on our door, and it's more like to rush anything. So we have a pretty trustful relationship, and then there's a moment to speak about these topics, but it's definitely not over the festive period when you have so many games.
Alex Cairns is not somebody we've talked about too much, and we got to know him a little bit in the summer, spoke to him a little bit in Germany, and seems to have quite an important role in the squad. Obviously hasn't played at all yet, but what have you made of the impression he's made? Has he been exactly what you expected?
I love him, I have to say. So first of all, it's good because we don't have to play against him in the cup competitions anymore. He was outstanding against us, and I don't want to be reminded about this game because he was great in his performance, and also what he did against our penalties. Yes, overall, I actually love him because he came in knowing exactly about his role. He knew that we've got Ilan, we've got Karl, top goalkeepers for this level, but he chipped in and tries to prove in each and every training session that he's the best one that we have. And I want these players to know the role, but also not to rest. It's more like he wants to improve each every day. He's one of the hardest working lads, and it's always a pleasure to have him around because he's competitive and professional, but always in a good mood, always with a smile on his face, good sense of humor, also like in the dressing room, motivational for each and every player. So discussing with Carl, with Elland about the players of the opponent to give a hint here and there. He's experienced that as well. Obviously, he has not played on the highest level before, so it's not like he has already won the Champions League appearances. But that means also that he has a hunger and a desire to deliver on this level. And it was totally the right choice to have him with us. He's also like obviously club developed and high identification. Is more like I speak quite often about this white blood that is running through some lads' veins, and Alex is definitely one of them. And we need this type of players who, more or less each every day work their heart and leave their heart on the pitch and work their socks off because of the big identification with this club and how mature he is in the dressing room. It's not always about the players who play each and every second. It's about the group, and sometimes a player who is perhaps not that much in the spotlight has the same value for the group. And this is also my feeling with Alex. It was 100% the right choice to sign him. Actually, I love him, and I would never be worried if he would be in the goal and needs to be there, step up, because perhaps Elland and Carl are not available. He's a really good goalkeeper as well. He's not just a mascot, and also he's a really good goalkeeper, and for that we're all happy that we have him.
Daniel, it's the nature of Leeds United in the Championship, and especially with this new TV deal, that the kickoff times are just all over the place. I wonder how big a challenge that is to manage players' body clocks, training times, and all that sort of thing.
Yes, it's a challenge, of course. So also like with difference between late kickoffs and very early kickoffs. It's of course difficult, but the most difficult thing is more like when you have a busy schedule and then, more or less on the one hand you have an evening kickoff, and then on the other hand, a very early kickoff, just more or less after breakfast, because it's not like that the game just starts at 12:30. It also means like the nutrition has to be there hours before the game, means it has to be pretty early. It's not like you wake up and they can have a coffee, eggs and bacon, and it's more like pretty early in the morning. They have to eat some stuff that you normally wouldn't do anyhow. But I also don't want anyone to feel sorry for the players. They're leading a privileged life, earning lots of money anyhow. They are allowed to represent Leeds United for that. No one needs to have sympathy with them, so they have to be professional. Obviously we have to be on it, and it's never that easy with these early kickoffs. I made my point. I'm not a big fan of early kickoffs because it makes also life sometimes difficult for our supporters with the traveling anyhow. But it is what it is. We have to adapt to it, and we are meanwhile also used to it. And it's also possible to deliver good performances at 12:30. There's also no problem.
And you mentioned after the Swansea game that Joshua had spoken before the match about the away record, and it had sort of inspired the team on that day. Is there a danger that when you have some bad results, regardless of the quality of the performance, that it can maybe get in people's heads about the difference between home and away results?
I'm not a big believer in difference between home and away games, because the rules are the same, the pitch is the same, the task is the same to protect your own goal and to score goals. Yes, obviously you don't have to travel in home games. Obviously you have all the support, especially also like in this league. It's an advantage if you have home games. There's no doubt about this. But also in terms of how our approach is or whatever, it will be always the same. So it's more or less we had very dominant home performances, but also very dominant away performances. But in this league, when the home team plays with off rhythm, it's especially against Leeds United, it's more or less for each of your home team the game of the season, and it's more or less the only occasion when the stadium is full, and quite often then they sell all the tickets and then excitement around. It's always the biggest motivation then also for this type of teams to play against us, and quite often they rise on the occasion. So it's always difficult for us, but also like when I think about our away record so far, what do we have? 4 wins, 3 draws, and 2 losses. Anyhow, so it's still overall very positive. You have always different periods. So I think in the beginning of the season we are praised and we're on position 1 in terms of away record. Then we're overall also 2 losses anyhow. And you also have to accept this. At times it's a championship. I think every team is more or less normally better at home than away. That's quite normal. But I would also label our away record with 4 wins, 3 draws, and 2 losses not horrendous. It's more like the other way around. We're still one of the best teams, also in this topic. But our approach is always we go into each and every game in order to win it. And if this is not possible, then we make sure that we don't lose it. And this will be the same tomorrow. We are respectful. We know it's a difficult task, more or less like each and every game. But we also want to win as many points as possible. Thank you.